Hey, babies, let's get into our book club. It has been about a week, and yes, I've been a bit behind as I was celebrating my birthday and just doing a lot of interviews. Your girl's got to get a new job, and it's taking some time, but wishful thinking. But as usual, we are going to start off with a little beauty. Today, I've got my Heal and Shine lip gloss. If you've noticed, it has been talked about a few times on this page and other places. I love this lip gloss because you can put it on in the morning, you can put it on at night, throughout the day. Just help heal your lips, feel good, look good. Cute little iridescent on it for the girlies. Guys, of course, if you're an iridescence, here you go, or put it on at night, whatever floats your boat. Them days, whatever. Whatever floats your boat. I love this stuff. And yeah, if you want more info on it, let me know. But let's go ahead and jump into the last heart beating. So I just finished part one, and kind of like the lip gloss, it's healing. This particular section, you can see where Natty is starting to talk about the healing process of dealing with a lot of things that went on with her dad. Finding out that he basically has CTE in his 30s, if not earlier, due to playing sports. So, PSA, you guys, if you are a sensitive to that area, just know that she doesn't like super deep dive, but she gives a lot of great information. And yeah, it for me, being someone who I'm not really sporty per se, I play defense, but going to games and supporting athletes and stuff, one of the worst things that can be said is shake it off, and I am so guilty of used to saying that. So don't dismiss it. If you feel something, get off of the field, get out of the range of play, get checked. I've been hit with baseballs, volleyballs, and yeah, who knows? I could have been a little dizzy myself. So, um, be careful out there playing your sports entertainment, whatever it is you do. She and her mother and sisters, they donated their her father's brain to Chris Nowinski's group to be evaluated, and that's how they found out about the CTE. And like I said, her dad did play sports for a really long time. So once he got to doing wrestling, rather if it was with Stampede or anywhere else, the damage was already been in progress. I'm trying to see if I can find this section in here. Um, because I took my thing out here. Let's see. Um, it took the brain bank 14 months of extensive study of my dad's brain before they had the results. Stage 3 chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, a disorder stemming from the death of nerve cells in the brain from repeated head injury. And with May being Mental Health Month, too, again, if you feel something, do something about it because it does affect your mental health. Um, so there's something in here that I wanted to, yeah. Um, Her dad had hippocampal sclerosis, a loss of neurons in the hippocampus, the part of the brain that regulates motion, e- yeah, motivation. I'm sorry, motivation, emotion, learning, and memory. So imagine like you not being able to handle your emotions regardless if you're going through getting yourself checked and what have you because you have a brain disease. So always do the right thing, get yourself checked. Now I'm not going to sit here and just like Natty, I'm not going to sit here and say that that was the reason why her dad had other issues, because we do have addictive personalities, and he did have an addiction. And she talked about how, the wrestlers would come over and have the funny smelling smoke, or just her dad's time with addiction. And that is something that I myself can what's the word, identify with. Um, so the 80s and 90s for people were, crazy out there. Um, both of my parents did drugs and alcohol. My mom stopped before my dad. And I saw the effects as a kid of, how that affects the family. Seeing how there would be times where my parents would go their separate ways, which means we would also have to go our separate ways as kids, leaving the home, or my dad not being in the home, or even like when they became sober, and how some family members just stopped coming around because they felt like maybe my parents thought they were better then, and that wasn't it. What it was they wanted to have a better life for themselves and for their children. And knowing that her dad tried really hard to have that better life for himself, but he kept having his stumbles, and eventually he lost his job. And her mother received a letter from Vince saying, I will always love and respect your family. However, I just cannot have your husband working here at this time. And reading about how her mom took jobs making $7.50 an hour just to support her kids, as working at a hot dog stand at Costco. Um, I can I personally can't understand, like, I can't put myself in that situation because my both my parents worked at General Motors, so they had some really good jobs, and they were able to take care of things. But, imagine, getting your degree and not being able to use it. You chose to raise your kids, and then when you wanted to get back into the workforce, it was harder for you to get back in the workforce because to do art, you have to do a lot of different art studies. And she didn't have time to do that, raising three young girls. So she had to take whatever job was available, and had to borrow Peter to pay Paul. And waking up, not having your car, leaving your home and going back home to your family home in a whole nother country, raising your daughters alone. Yeah, of course, family's there to support, but you were all living in a one bedroom, king size bed with three girls and yourself, and your daughters slowly getting jobs and having to use that money to help, prepare yourself and take care of your family. That had to be a lot on her mom. And emotionally as a kid, it's a lot too. I remember on my personal end, I used to hide my birthday money. I would try to hide my bike under my bed or things like that, because things would come up missing because of addiction. And you know I am thankful every day that I have two parents who were able to not have that life anymore. And having them over 30 plus years of not doing anything. My mom having a little bit more than my dad. I think sometimes, just in conversations that I've had with her as a mom, um, she looked at her responsibilities of, I got my kids. Um, so she hadn't done a lot of like hardcore things in a long time. But once my brother was born, she also was just like, you know what? I'm not going back to smoking. A few years later, I'm not drinking anymore. And, you know, that took a lot. It took my dad maybe like a year and a half longer than my mom to stop doing everything. And, watching his trials and tribulations and him going to rehab. So I can only imagine what Natty went through, watching her dad going in and out of places. Um, Erin, you know, on top of all that, he also had CTE and they didn't even know. So his addiction and his emotions, I'm sure, were even higher based off of, the CTE. Gosh, in the environment that he was in. Again, remember the 80s and 90s, early 2000s in some places, people were still telling people, shake that off, get up, do it. You can work, you can keep going. Look at him. He fell down and hit his head and he's still going. And I think for me, um, like I said, I used to get super into the games and would say that, but then I would also remember, hey, I did student training in high school. And I remember guys getting hit in the head during football games and having to hold their hand and stop them from going out on the field because they possibly had a concussion and waving down their parents and saying, hey, your kid's not doing good. And I'm a kid myself. So, just again being conscious of what you're saying. It's one thing like you scrape your knee, okay, shake it off, you're good. But if you hit your head, it's a whole totally different thing, or your back. It can lead to a lot of damage, not a lot of nerve damage. And so again, just being conscious of that. But there was also some awesome things in there as someone who was able to, what was it called? I love this, and I'm gonna pull it up here. It's so cute. So at the Hart House, they had the Kids Wrestling Association, and she was able to. At that time, she wasn't allowed to be down there like that. She didn't allow herself. Let's put it that way. She was like, maybe I could wrestle, but you know what? I need to do, help my family and do things the right way. And so she would watch her cousins Teddy, Matt, and Harry, and Matt's great friend TJ, who would later become her husband, all down at the Kids Wrestling Association, which was in at the Art House in the yard in a 20 by 24 mat. And they would wrestle and train, and they would get trained by Owen and her grandfather Stu, who she called Grampy, would watch from the kitchen and yell about them doing certain moves. Someone's going to break their neck out there. It was one of the things that he would say when Owen was teaching the kids high flying. But this, like, watching them helped her escape from, knowing that I had to leave my home and come back to my mom's home and share a room with her. And um, there was something really sad that happened, losing her cousin Matt. Um, Also in a way made her go away from the Kids Wrestling Association too. But it was TJ who told her, I think you can do this. And at that point of him saying that, they became inseparable. She was a waitress when she wasn't supposed to be because she was younger. But her uncle Davy, or as we know him, the Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith, was able to get her a job being working at a restaurant where she worked herself all the way up to being a waitress. But during that time, she would also continue to look at that ring and imagine what it would be like as the first Hart woman to be a wrestler, and not, the bra and panties wrestler, but the wrestler. And yeah, he told her, I think you can do this. And yeah, let me see if I can find that. Because she would help, she would be like the ring announcer or what have you when the kids would be out there. But um where's it at here? He said, well, I think you'd be great. And it was like he was reading her mind. His voice had the gentleness that reminded him before her cousin Matt passed away. And she just thought about having the security of working in the restaurant, and she knew her shifts and her pay. But going, as it says here, going into the unknown of the wrestling business meant inviting back the uncertainty that had twisted me up as a kid and was still my worst fear as a teenager. Wrestling was something I felt in my heart of hearts I was meant for, but I had seen so much turmoil and trauma, hurt and trauma in the world that I was scared to even think about it. That's why I never went looking for any opportunities in the business because I was afraid of getting a yes, not a no. But much like everyone else in my family, the wrestling business had other plans for me, as in, I didn't seek it out, it sought me. Well, the KWA did, to be exact. And it was that little shit, that's what she called TJ, um, TJ Wilson, who would take that journey with me. um, so I thought, that was a great section. Um, and this was all in section one, part one of the book, about going back to Canada, about her dad's trials and tribulations of being in the WWE, the travel, her dad doing and anyone who has seen Jim Neihart knows that, he was this big figure and he always lived, what's going on here? Sorry guys. Always lived as that big figure. And so he came to her school on a motorcycle and they were little kids. And he basically told the kids, school doesn't get you anywhere. Go do what you want. And the teacher's like, oh my God. And she's like, oh, daddy, I can't believe you said that. But just knowing that, like, he came in just as himself and big and bright. He's always been this big and bright light and for her and the family, even in their darkest times. He tried to be big and bright, in public. And yeah, it just my parents didn't do we didn't even have it. We didn't have those parent days where your parents came and told their jobs. I don't know, maybe it was a private school thing. I don't know. But I always heard about them and, hearing about how her dad showed up. Everyone else's parents are in their suits and stuff, and he shows up on a motorcycle with this fanny pack, and he's on top of the world at that time. And yeah, so there was a lot of great things in section one, and I'm looking forward to section two of the book. Section two, so they're called parts, and I keep saying sections. So section two, in the sections seem to be pretty like light, so you can read them in chunks. But I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. She's already talked about, like I said, the Montreal screw job. Um, But I feel like section 2 is gonna be a lot about her beginnings in the wrestling industry. And I don't know if I showed you guys. Let me put that down. She actually signed my book, so that was awesome. Getting to meet her and getting her signature and telling her, and I told her how we on Spiffy and the Unicorn, if you've seen the podcast that I do from time to time, you know about this. We did great Canadian contributors. And so we said it that way because I did not want to leave out anyone who was not wrestling. And so I gave a shout out to TJ and I clipped that and I put it on my ex and he saw it and liked it and retweeted it and gave me a follow and I was on cloud nine. So I got to tell Natty all about it. And she's like, oh my God, that's awesome. Thank you for including him. And I told her, of course you're on there too, but we couldn't have it without TJ because of everything that TJ has done since having to retire for the women in wrestling. And, I thanked her for her contribution in women's wrestling too. Um, so let's talk a little more Natty. If you have noticed, Natty's been popping up on NXT the last 2 weeks, and looks like she's going to be in a feud with Jada Parker. Now, according to Natty, this is not what she wanted. What she wanted to do was boost Jada to help her get out of her slump and to encourage her to just continue to keep fighting. She actually really enjoys Jada's work, but Jada sometimes can have a bit of a hothead, and so can Natty. So I have a feeling that this thing is going to come to blows sooner than later. Jada called into Busted Open on yesterday during the Heartbeat, which is Natty's hour that she does every Thursday, and basically called her out. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes because it did get heated. So that's really exciting. Now let's jump into some other women's wrestling real quick. Asuka. Okay, so anyone who knows me knows I I credit Asuka for getting me back into really paying attention to some Japanese wrestling because of her flair, her movement, and I hope that this isn't the end. I hope this is just a break. I love everything that she does, and I wish her all the best. Io is an amazing wrestler, and we all know that Io got a lot of her training from Asuka. So I look forward to seeing what can come next. Very sorry to hear, that Kyrie is no longer, or with WWE. I wish her again all the best because she is a wonderful performer. She from third party interviews, I've heard that she always wants to learn. And I think that's awesome because if you're not learning, are you living? Um, what else was I want to talk about with the women's wrestling? The women's tag team in WWE right now. I really would love to see a little bit more. And the reason why is because there's so many great women tag teams out there. And I would love to see personally, yes. Do I want Nia Lash to have the belt back? Absolutely. We all know that I'm a huge Nia Jax fan. Got to finally meet her face to face after doing a virtual meet and greet with her recently. I would love to see her um, get that title back. Lexi and Charlotte, of course, they were great. Um, do I want Roxanne and Raquel to have it? The answer is no, because I want Raquel to take the title off of Liv. I want Judgment Day to break up. I want Roxanne to leave and maybe become a part of the US or yeah, or Intercontinental if she, changes brands. I would love to see her take advantage of those. And speaking of that too, Fallon Henley, I want to see you go for one of those individual belts too. No tag team for you. I want to see you have that individual. I'm excited to see what's going to happen next with Kalani Jordan. Will she get that opportunity to become women's NXT champion, or will she be moving forward over to the main brand with Carmelo X SmackDown, or what are the plans for her? Because she's really talented, and I can see her doing so well. Lola Vice is another one. Rather if she centers herself just with AAA, or if she goes over to SmackDown. With Damian Priest, whatever she does, she's gonna kick ass. Gosh, there's so many great women's wrestlers out there. Just on the WWE side, AEW side, y'all already know I am a Willow nut. So I don't want nobody to beat Willow. I want Willow to have the women's title. I want her and Tony Storm when Tony comes back to do something. I want her and Thunder Rosa whenever Thunder Rosa's not doing CMLL. I want her to do stuff with Willow. Yeah, it's all about Willow. Just saying. So yeah, if you know me, you know me. Oh, and then today I'm wearing one of my TNA shirts. I have on Tasha Steele. Um, I know right now Tasha is really focusing more on Order 4, but it would be good to see her do more individual stuff on there too. Maybe her and Mara Sade can hook up. I do like the story they have going on with Mara and Allie and Rosemary. I love Rosemary. Something about her. Something about her I just absolutely love. She's a veteran wrestler who she just keeps reinventing herself, even though she's not reinventing herself, because she's always been like the, crazy zany character, what have you. Oh gosh, how did I not talk about my girl Mia Yim, aka Mi Chen? Okay, I do want her to have her individual title run. I really do want that. But I also see her and BFAB maybe having a short run at the women's tag titles. In a way, for me, I feel like they need to have two. They should have never merged them, all three of them together, because if you're going to have two shows and you're not going to have a bunch of crossover, then let each show have their own women's belt, just like the men's have their own titles. I know a lot of people are like, Ashley, that's a lot of belts. Yes, that is a lot of belts. That is a lot of titles. However, you're already going down to what, 2 hours on SmackDown, and so take advantage of those 2 hours and give us more women, give us more action. I know that's kind of weird to say, but there's so many great stories that are going on, or center some of those stories, keep them all on one brand, or maybe make SmackDown all women. I don't know, just it's a lot. But I definitely look forward to seeing like more women's wrestling out there. Talking to you, AEW, because y'all ain't had enough women's wrestling lately. um Independent wise, I have been able to catch a little bit of Shotzi on Independence. Yeah, Shotzi and Dakota, aka FKA Dakota, true name Charlie. Man, that was so good. If you haven't watched it, you need to get on your YouTube and search it. It was so good. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Charlie. She's freaking amazing. It was good to watch her on Chris Van Vliet's podcast and talk about how she's not retired. She just took a little break, people. So super excited to see where she goes. Um, but yeah, there's just so many great things happening. And anytime I can talk to you guys about beauty and body slams in some way, shape, or form, I'm going to. But we had to start off with our Natty Book Club. If you are reading the Natty Book or you have read the Natty Book, let me know what you think. We still have two more books that I already have on audio that I always love to listen to again that we're going to do. And then after that, we're going to take some suggestions. So keep in mind, we've got Becky and Killer Cross to do for our Beauty and Body Slam book club. I like that. Our Triple B, no offense, MJF. This Triple B is a little bit different. We also, we're going to jump into some guys stuff. We're going to talk into, I think what in 2 weeks is Double or Nothing, and I'm still upset that Double or Nothing is not in Vegas because he promised that it was never leaving Vegas, and I went to three Double or Nothings. I want to say I went to three and watched one on TV. Yeah, because it's 6 years, 6 or 7 years. The first Double or Nothing, I watched it on my phone. I didn't go down. Then they had Double or Nothing during the pandemic, and then they came back. So yeah, three. I went to three Double or Nothings, and one time the Anarchy in the Arena was in my face. So yeah, I want it back. I want it back. I want it back. Okay, that's enough for now. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on, do a little bit with you guys. I can't believe it's almost been 30 minutes of me just yapping away. Um, if you like what you hear, please leave comments, share it, like it, what have you. If you didn't like it, that's okay too. But yeah, you got a chance, pick up Natty's book, read it, let me know what you think. It's been your girl, Ash. And yeah, See you soon on Beauty and Body Slams and whatever the heck else I decide to do. Take care of everybody. Bye, babies.